1. Hello, everyone! Welcome to the 7th episode of Weaving Myths Season 3. Weaving Myths is a podcast focused on tabletop role-playing games, and specifically playing them through the play-by-post format. I'm your host, Nathan, and joining me today are Colin.
Hello, everyone.
Eric.
Good evening.
And Ruben.
How's it?
We are all staff at Mythweavers, one of the largest play-by-post gaming websites in existence, and we're here to help you bring your game to the next level. If you're not familiar with Mythweavers, you can find it at myth-weavers.com. As always, we are joined by the impeccable, I mean truly impeccable text chat, which members of Mythweavers are using right now to ask questions and contribute to the discussion. If you too would like to be part of the impeccable text chat, feel free to join us on the Mythweavers Twitch channel at twitch.tv/weavingmyths. This week, we're going to be going back to the basics. We're going to be talking about... What does that say? Okay, using images and post templates in your games. For some reason, the phrasing of that sentence made no sense to me. Okay.
Hey, Nathan.
Yeah.
What's this about?
Today's episode focuses on using or not using, as the case may be, images and post templates in your games. So,
And to be fair, the staff neither advocates nor advocates against any of the things that we're going to talk about.
Strong disagree. Strong disagree.
Oh,
Nathan.
we're in a throwdown here.
Nathan and Ruben have strong views. Eric and I will remain impartial.
They're gonna try.
You'll also
They
remain
have strong,
wrong.
wrong views.
No, you are wrong.
Oh, it's on now.
Children, hey, Mythweaver's mom is watching. We have to at least behave and stay on script.
Fine.
Gibby Amy.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is using images in posts. So this seems like a really simple and basic concept, but there's a lot of people out there that don't know how to use images in posts, or they use images in posts and they do it wrong. I'm going there. They do it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of ways to do it wrong, and that's really kind of why I'm over here on the don't do it, because I've seen it done wrong so many times. That probably means I've been on the site a long time, rather than everyone's doing it wrong.
Coming up on a decade.
More than a decade now.
Yeah.
No. Well,
My
okay, we've
oldest
been on the
game
site more than a
Now, 10
decade.
plus years now.
Yeah. Actually, Eric, didn't we join about the same? Aren't we
Yeah,
about the
pretty
same
much.
time?
Yeah, my oldest game dates from September of 2008, which is not the oldest game on the server.
I had the
Year.
longest running. I had the longest running Beaten Sebastian's game forever until it died, but
See, I was more referring to the fact, Eric, that we've been on staff for so damn long.
That is true. Yeah, we
well,
read
I
a
think
lot.
all of
books
us have.
like that, don't we?
Eric and I are coming up on a decade.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty
I've been
close to
staff
that.
since 2011, so...
Let's
we
see
are
now.
ancient.
Now
How
I'm
long have I been
curious.
staff?
Speaking of rabbit holes...
Yeah, let's not dive down that one. Let's talk
God, we're
about
tangenting and Amy's not even involved.
finding that perfect picture, Nathan. How long
Alright,
have you
so...
been?
So I just want to say that you can use images in posts as much or as little as you want. We're not here to tell you, as much as we joke about it, we're not here to tell you what's right and what's wrong. You got to find a style that is good for you, a style that works for your players, a style that works for your game. I mean, but I want to point out that not every post has to have a picture, and not every picture has to be perfect. So it can kind of trap you in this cycle of finding the perfect picture, and you end up just looking at pictures for 3 hours instead of making a post. It's always better to make a post without a picture than to have the perfect picture.
In
yeah,
other
go
words,
ahead.
don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Right. You are never going to find that exact elf with that exact pose, with that exact hair and eye color, with the right set of clothes. It's just not going to happen. Even though the internet has practically everything, it doesn't have everything. Unless
So
it doesn't have clothes on.
I would like to counterpoint that it's entirely possible, and I do this, to find the picture first and then post. Like,
That's true.
especially if I'm starting the game, and I know I need a certain amount of NPCs, a lot of times I'll go looking for images I really like, and then build the NPC around that image. Because images are incredibly evocative. I mean, the old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words, it's totally true. And if you're more of a visual thinker, it's sometimes a lot more useful to find pictures first and then kind of work the post around that.
Counterpoint. Don't let the picture do the words for you.
Mm-hmm. That is
Very
my
true.
biggest beef with this entire process is too often I'll get someone who's like, well, I gave you a picture, so I don't need to write anything but the one sentence action that my character does. This is a story. We're sharing, writing a story here, telling a story. So I want to hear your voice. I don't want you to just drop a picture on there, because if we're doing that, it's a video game more or less. And this is a personal, interpersonal action here.
Well, and even beyond that, also remember, more and more, we're getting more people who play primarily on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
Phones have very small screens, and it's very hard to pick out details in an image via a phone. Text, however, you can read perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on mobile-friendly sites, which we're working on, folks, I promise.
Yes, but we are not there, and that's a point that we'll come to later when we talk about the dreaded
Yes.
template.
The rubric.
Well,
We'll get there. Okay. Another key aspect is when you're finding a picture on the internet, you're finding a picture that someone else made and put on the internet. So that usually comes with at least some sort of attribution requirement, if not an outright copyright statement that you have to comply with. If you don't, we will find you. You will get infracted. It's not okay to just take, say, a famous image by a famous artist who did D&D artwork back in the 1980s and screen capture it and post it on, your personal page as your avatar for this character. It's not yours. You can't just take it.
Yeah. And this cuts especially near and dear to me. I come down hard on this kind of stuff.
And Nathan, if you want to throw it up, I just dropped a link you could use that shows an example of artist attribution.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put it in the Twitch chat by chance?
Oh, so needy.
Please?
Screen share.
There you go, buddy.
Thank you. All right.
Double your pleasure.
Okay, so let me just do the switcheroo.
Switch the screen.
So
And call me Fate is gonna probably be cranky that I'm using her character for this.
There we go. All right.
I mean, I think the important
Put
thing
this over
to
here.
just really take from the whole using images is more about evoking a feel or a theme than it is about literally representing what's happening.
Exactly.
I swear I'm trying to make this work.
It's the flavor to your soup.
Mm-hmm.
It is not the broth, it is not the meat, it is the flavor.
So, why is it broken now?
Why are you broken now?
You can't do screen share, Nate?
Well,
No,
I'm
he's
trying.
screen sharing the.
I'm trying, I swear. Why is it not working? Alright, hang on.
I'll get Discord Nitro, he said.
It'll be fun.
He said.
Jinx!
Well, while he's working on fixing...
Alright, I got it.
Okay.
Hey!
Yep. So this is a perfect example. What the person has done is just they've done a link
Right.
with the name of who did the art, and if you click on it, it just takes you to their DeviantArt page.
Which is just a really great thing to do.
Yes.
And frequently artists will only ask for that level of attribution. I mean, that's the basic level of the Creative Commons license. It's just, hey, when you use my work, say you use my work.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. There
So,
are more,
sorry,
there
I
are
cut
more
it.
restrictive copyright terms that you would have to comply with sometimes. So make sure that you read them and you understand them before you go just taking.
Mm-hmm.
So, can I ask you guys, what do you do if you cannot find who the artist is?
Isn't there some sort of terms for that? Like you have to cite the website you found it on or something?
I honestly actually don't know.
Okay, I don't know. I just assume like you follow. So like when you're writing like a research paper or something, if you can't find the author, you cite the website it came from. So that's my general rule of thumb: is if I can't find like an artist or even just a username of the artist, I just say it came from this website. Here's where you can find it, where I found it.
For important reference, none of us are lawyers
Correct.
at all. This is not a take our word as law thing, because what Nathan said is, to the best of my understanding, correct. Attribute to the original website it came from if possible. Do your best to find the artist, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
Reverse image search works for this.
yes,
Yep.
and that would be images.google.com.
Yep.
And you just click
Use
and
it.
drag the picture in. You can do it from another tab on the browser. You can do it from a saved image.
You can
Doesn't
copy the
matter.
image and paste it from your clipboard.
Yep.
I have
Did
had
not know you
reverse.
could do that.
I've
Yep.
had reverse image search not work a couple times. Like it won't find anything except where I found it. I've had that happen a couple times, but at that point it's just like, all right, this is the website
Usually
I found
that
it
happens if the image has been modified in some way, which
Yep.
I think we're going to talk about modifying images here in a little bit. But if you modify an image, even if it's just flipping the orientation, image search is not going to easily find it.
Yep.
So there's two really good ways around this. One, draw your own image. And I'll fully admit, not all of us are blessed like this.
Yeah, not me. I'm not.
Keep in mind,
No.
there are many talented weavers who are artists.
This is true.
And getting a custom portrait commissioned usually does not cost that much.
I
A
think.
lot of times,
Oh, go ahead.
some artists will do it for free.
But remember the triangle: cost, schedule, quality.
Right.
If it's cheap, it's going to take a while. It's not going to be their priority, and it probably isn't going to be an excellent work. If you want high quality, expect for it to be a little more expensive and probably take some time.
Also, don't start out especially if you're looking for help on the weave, don't take the choosing beggar route. Be willing to pay for custom work,
Right.
because the artist deserves it.
Right. I'm trying to find.
That's, while Robin's looking, that does bring up an interesting point that we probably have not really addressed in our site rules, which is we have a rule that prohibits commercial use. Does that prohibit soliciting someone to draw you a custom piece of artwork for the site? I think the answer should be no.
Well, because that's personal use. You're not doing it for a printed product. You're doing it for personal use.
Right, but now what happens if you're the artist who says, I want to be able to advertise that I'm an artist who can do these things for you?
That is covered by the commercial use rule. They must seek staff permission. I have zero issue with something like someone on the site saying, hey, I'm an artist, here are examples of my artwork, and we have several examples in Creative Corner.
Yep.
Yeah,
If
and
they
I have
want
no problem
to
with that.
advertise their services, and this is what it costs for custom character images, stuff like that, all that you have to do as an artist on Mythweavers is send a private message to the staff, explain who you are, what you're looking to do, some examples of your artwork, and just get permission. We're not going to run you through some crazy ringer and make you sign forms. We just
Yep.
need to be aware of it.
This is not an NDA. This is simply so that Mythweavers does not become eBay.
Or Craigslist.
Oh.
I didn't go there. You went.
Oh, I did. I'm the admin. I'll definitely go there.
Yeah.
All right. So we've kind of. So let's talk about some of the good things about using images in posts. Like, what are some of the like good? Yes, these are great things about images.
Well,
Before we jump to that, can I just add one thing in?
Sure.
Sorry, I had my mic off. Stock images. Stock images are a great way to get portraits and stuff that you don't have to worry about attributing. Because stock images, by their very nature, don't require that.
Mm-hmm.
Out of a kind, like a request though, if you're going with stock images, please don't get modern military stock images. Because they're terrible.
Oh, fuck.
They are horrible.
in the Navy.
Oh, and I did want to link. This is a portrait I had done for one of my characters. I'll post it also in the Mythweavers chat.
And I've got a pup that wants me to take him out, so
Okay.
I'll still be on audio though.
Call of
because
nature is important. We don't want to hear it though.
Because Ruben and I have awesome headsets.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, on this one I actually ended up getting done for free, just because one of the artists I like and follow who does a webcomic is like, "Hey, I'm practicing fantasy images. Send me a character description."
Nice.
This ties well back to the picture being worth 1,000 words. If you can't describe the character well enough that you know their detail without staring at their picture, you don't know the character well enough. So,
Right. Well, that's
in
the
my
other thing is
opinion,
I had to.
you need to know the character before you can have someone draw it.
Right, and I had to describe this character to the artist.
That's another good point, is if you cannot describe the character in your contracting art, you're going to wind up with a very irate artist and you're probably not getting what you want.
For the interest, I am linking the webcomic whose artist did my picture. Her name is Aviv, and she's awesome.
I'll be sure to go check that out a little later.
Yep.
It's also a really
throw it up
great
real quick.
Savage Worlds webcomic.
Up
I
to
have
the
enough
players.
webcomics, I can't do another.
There's always room for one more, Colin.
Anyway, before I so rudely interrupted you, Nathan.
Actually, I did want to. You brought up an excellent point of being able to describe what your image should be, and just a little personal story about that.
Hey Nathan, real quick.
Hey, yeah.
You're still screen sharing.
Oh no, I was gonna leave it up for a couple minutes in case people wanted to check it out.
Okay, just wanted to clarify. All right,
Yep, all good.
shutting up. Go ahead.
All right. So when I was doing, I was looking for a artist to do the cover for my novel Lady Night, and even I will say, if you give artists a little, they can take that a long way, and it doesn't have to be like a perfect 100% accurate description of what you're looking for. Generally, if they're good at what they're doing, they can take a little bit of description and make it into what you're envisioning. I got very lucky to work with Ruben G. Ramos, who is actually a weaver, by the way. I would like to point out he's a very nice guy. I recommend him for.
Another Ruben?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, he's great.
Oh yeah, he's got to be a good guy.
Yeah. So he did a great job, and I gave him maybe like 4 or 5 sentences of what I wanted, and he turned it into a fantastic looking professional cover. So.
And Nate's absolutely right. I mean, my day job, I work with artists all the time. Yeah, the good artists can work from very little description. And there are a ton of really good fantasy illustrators out there who are willing to do portraits for not a ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can get really good work for $50.
Yes.
And if you have a character you really love, especially a character you plan on playing maybe in multiple games or like reusing, it's totally worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, don't go commissioning a character portrait for a character that you're applying to a game with that you're not already on schedule to play. That can be a little disheartening when you've laid out some cash and then you find out that you didn't get accepted. But that's a topic for a different episode. Having that character image can be extremely helpful if you're playing in a game that uses maps, battle mats, or anything where you have to have a visual representation of the character. Just having a generic token or miniature is a little harder to associate with your character. That's why we have eyes. So, something that's specific to you is better than something that's generic.
Okay, so before we kind of got sidetracked there a little bit, but I think those were all excellent points. We were going to talk about some of the benefits of using images in your games.
So, for me, I think they really increase immersion, and they really help to evoke a feeling or a mood instantly, even before I write a word.
Yeah, I'll particularly use images for things like landscapes or backgrounds as a GM, where I want people to kind of feel where they are, the dankness of the cave or the rolling rocky hillside with a bunch of big sinkholes in it. If I find an image that does that, that's easier than typing out the 3,000 word description wall of text. So even I, who really, really likes text, don't want to read a Tolkien novel every time I post.
Lies. You love that stuff.
I really do. I really do. It does get a little daunting. Now, on the flip side, to see someone's character portrait every 3 inches for the length of the thread, that does get a little annoying too.
Yeah.
I know your name.
Chibi Amy brings up a great point of concept art is great for landscapes.
Yeah,
it is.
Does not have to be extremely detailed to get the feeling of the landscape down. Photographs are also great, and if you find things like Wikimedia Commons or something like that where it's got Creative Commons attribute only license, all the better.
So one place that I think images are, I don't know if there's actually an argument to be made against this, but I think there's one place that we can all agree that images really help a lot, and that is in your advertisements for your games. Visual marketing is one of the most powerful things in terms of getting people interested in something. Jesus, my ears just exploded. Thank you, Geekahedron, for following. Appreciate it.
If you are advertising, you have to get it across quickly. People are not going to invest a lot of time in your advertisement if they can't parse it quickly.
And that's where images are super valuable.
Yeah. You don't see a billboard along the side of the road with 300 words on it to say, hey, come shop at our shop or eat at our restaurant. They show a picture of the food or the items or something that's going to draw your attention quickly and then give you just enough words to tell you where to get more.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, I think that's... Yeah.
Yeah, Geek, I feel you on the keeping track of characters and back and forth dialogue with pictures. My challenge is the amount of screen space that gets dedicated to them, and we'll talk about that here in a second.
Because I have a way around that.
Yeah, as I said, we're going to talk about that here in a second, because one of the bad things is if the screen starts to get dominated with the images, it crowds out the text, and the text is kind of the meat to Ruben's soup.
Meat.
Stop encouraging the Reuben.
No, encourage
Oh,
me.
Ruben. Oh.
The other thing you can really use, and we've kind of covered this before, but portraits can really inspire a lot of inspiration. Even if you actually ultimately don't end up using an image in your post or for your character or something, they can still really help you build that character from inception. Like, if I want to build Grog, the goblin stomping barbarian.
Dwarf stomping.
Dwarf stomping.
No, this is my Grog.
Jinx.
Dwarves are awesome.
It's
My
not Grog.
is
It's Grog.
a Grog is a dwarf who stomps goblins. Anyway, if I build him, it really helps me to kind of look for images of, goblin stomping dwarves. Because that's going to kind of get me in the mood and maybe give me a couple of things I didn't think about. Like, I thought my Grog used a sword, but no, this guy's using a really cool warhammer. I just think the warhammer is cooler. And it can also kind of give some of that inspiration to the GM. If you kind of share, hey, this is what inspired me when I made a character. What does it make you think about? And then you can open up a dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Can't argue that. Dialogue's what it's all about.
It's that thing we always say. Communication. Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
We brought it
Excellent.
back for the 1000th time.
We got there.
All right. So you find a great picture, but it's 1920 by 1280.
Happens a lot.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
boy.
people just will take that image
oh my God,
and
awesome.
link it directly in their post and break my screen.
Do
I
people
have a
really do
gigantic
that?
resolution screen. And I
Yes.
still can't
Oh
see
my
around
God.
it.
Nathan, the fact that you haven't encountered that shocks me. It happens.
I am so
Not-
sorry.
Not malevolent, but it happens.
Oh, man. Why would you do that? That's
Yeah.
just...
Fortunately, Rodrigo has given us a really awesome image 2 tag.
Yep.
That helps you.
Oh God, please use the image 2 tags.
Yes. It resizes the picture for you.
And it resizes by width.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind.
Which is glorious.
Yeah.
Width and ratio. And I would like to point out, when using image 2, the width size of our post frames is roughly about 780 pixels, is what I've estimated.
Yeah, it's about that.
So I usually size mine to 750.
Depending on how
750,
big you want
yeah.
it to be, yeah.
If you want to go basically full width, 750 with a center works perfect.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for a full width picture. We're talking portraits. Keep it 150 or less.
Yeah,
No more than 20% of the screen space should be dedicated to the picture of your character.
Yeah, maybe 200 pixels at most.
At most, yes.
But I have a trick for that, and we'll talk about it in a bit.
So do I.
So, I do also want to point out that images can be a great way to mark, like, landmark moments in your games. Like, when you change a story chapter or you change a setting, they go from the city to a dungeon, or, I personally find it's best to use an image like that when either a new character gets introduced, or when the setting that the characters are in changes. Now, as far as putting an image for a character, I don't think you need an image every time the character shows up to speak, but I do think it can help keep track of the sequence of the conversation.
And this is a topic that has come up a lot. I mean, people are like, especially new people to the site, well, I want to make my user avatar identical to my character portrait. Well, our post frames are not set up to do that. They have the avatar for the user, and if you have multiple games going on, you're not going to be able to sequence or synchronize those. So I get it that people want to have that image associated. But that's, yeah, they're just going to have to include it in the post. So if you have a good post template, you could do something like that.
Yep. So
I think we're going to
Or if
talk
you had
about
a
those.
bad one, it would be really, really bad, and we have some horror stories to share later.
well, we have many good ones to share too.
Mhm.
So the one area where I think images are just far and away the best thing to do is when you have to break out the old battle mat. When it comes time for tactical positioning, you really can't beat an image.
Yep.
And for me personally, the new way I've been doing battle mats is with Google Draw. So I'll set up a new
Head.
Yawn. I know the really cool people, Ruben, still use Microsoft Excel, right, Eric?
Oh yeah.
Actually, yeah, that was it. You know what? Anybody who does that, my hat's off to them because that was amazing. No, you can use so I use Google Draw because you can put the grid over, but then you can give permission to move stuff to the rest of your players so they can move their own tokens in the battle grid.
Yep. Google Draw is awesome.
Yeah, and yeah, Colin did point out you can also do really good things with Excel.
Mm-hmm. The
Which
nice
I guess, what's the Google equivalent?
Sheets.
Sheets.
You can. It's going to be painful.
the nice
Unless
thing
you're really
about
good
that,
at it.
the nice thing about that to me is that it's actually pretty easy for me to do the fog of war type thing of you having can't see it. I have two copies of the map. One is the GM's copy and the other one is the player's copy. When they go down a hallway, I copy the hallway and they see the hallway.
Right.
When they open the door to a room, I copy the room, they see the room.
I have to admit, that was one of the most impressive things I've seen in a long while.
For an example of this, watch the most, well, if you're
Patrons.
a patron,
Watch.
if you're
And
a
if you're not a patron, you should sign up to be a patron.
of the Weaving Myths Patreon, the patrons can see an example from the most recent Weaving Myths Does tabletop in which Eric did a... Was it Excel or
dungeon.
was it Sheets?
It was
No,
Excel.
it was Excel.
Yep. Excel-based dungeon. It was
Press the-
impressive.
Yeah, it impressed the pants off me.
Keep your pants on, Ruben.
Keep them on.
They're on.
PG-13 show.
See?
Oh my god.
It can't be unseen. All right, so you got an image. What software are you going to use? What's the best tool to use?
For what?
Manipulating your image. You got a raw image and you want to adjust it. Say, I just want the character's headshot to put it on the top of the post because please don't
Photoshop.
scale a full body
Okay.
image of your character down to 150 pixels.
If you can pay for it, Photoshop.
Photoshop.
If you can't pay for it, Photoshop. Because it's the best.
I will point out Photoshop Elements is free and
Okay.
will do cropping and resizing.
Yep. But you can also
That's-
use other free stuff like GIMP.
Or
Yes,
Paint.net.
you can use it. Or Paint.net. Paint.net is actually another good free one.
Mm-hmm. Heck, I use the built-in Mac preview tool. It's got a pretty good image crop, resize, adjust.
Yep.
There's plenty of things out there that you can use. But cropping is an important aspect. Ruben will tell you all about this, I'm sure. But
Oh,
please
yeah.
don't just scale your whole character's picture down to the small size that you need for a post, because then no one can read it.
Right.
No one can see any of the details.
Crop the proper size, and there are tons of free tools out there.
Right.
I do recommend Photoshop Elements, even if you're free, for the free option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Because
mean, obviously, I'm horribly biased, but
it will find the right ratios for you so that you don't have to think about your 4:3 or your 16:9 or whatever golden ratio you want to use for your portrait.
let's see, where are we at?
You want to touch up Photoshop Elements.
Yep.
So, Ruben, you might have some insight on this. Say you find an image online and you want to edit it and like say the color of the eyes is wrong and you want to change it so that they're the correct color, at what point does it stop being the original person's work and become yours?
Generally, you have to make much more. You have to make much more significant changes than that. Like throwing a character on a background, still pretty nebulous.
Okay.
Frankly, if I'm ever in doubt, like if I don't think I've edited enough, I will post original image by.
Right.
And then you can just do a modified.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
GB Amy has a good point. I would say changing 60% is probably about where it starts.
Okay.
The one exception is if you start with a stock image, any amount of change doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
make
really
sure
easy usually if you want to make an elf, to start with a stock image and elongate the ears.
if you do take an existing image, make sure that if the copyright statement says
No altering.
no altering, comply. Don't alter someone else's image without their permission.
Yep. Sorry, I guess I kind of jumped the gun on that question. That should have been the first thing we said is don't change it unless you have permission to change it. And then if you change it, how much do you have to change it?
Sorry, I'm just putting on my first Sea Lord of Moderation hat, and I don't want to see that.
No, you're correct.
It's
You're
just
100%
a bad day
correct.
for me, and a worse day for you.
I still love that title.
All right, so let us move on to post templates. I got blurry for some reason.
Your camera stopped focusing on you personally.
It's because you went to Nitro.
There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Refocus.
Okay, so post templates, to put it very simply, is someone has pre-created a set of formatting that you take and copy and paste into your own post, and you edit it with your changes. So like if it's a template for an in-character post, you take the template and you put your character's image in there, you put your character's actions in there, your character's thoughts and whatever in there. And it just kind of shortcuts the process of having to make your own formatting, even though it can be really fun to mess with that sometimes, in my personal opinion. I like having fun with that sometimes. But it does...
I believe Sarah Koch is a good example of this, just to name drop him.
He actually did a template for my Shadows of Wicmouth game, and I really like his template.
That Ava Dornell Lot character you had up earlier for the image example was, I believe, a collaboration between Sarek and Fate that kind of became standard for that game.
Yep, and actually, let me pull that up here so people can see what we're talking about.
Well, I would say that tends to happen a lot on the site, is that over time, certain games and certain systems tend to get this kind of standard format kind of applied. Just like how now site-wide is kind of considered, if you're talking in speech, it's bold. If you're thinking it's italic, a lot of times you can pick a color for your character.
Yep. So let me just run through this real quick. But basically what we're talking about is like this box here at the top that says profile. If you were to copy this entire post into your own, you would go through and change, like the name, you'd put your character's name. For the race, you'd put your character's race. Age, so on and so forth. You'd go down to mechanics, you'd change all the mechanics to match your character's statistics, and go so on and so forth. So I just wanted to make sure we explained that pretty well. Basically, this is what a post template is.
Now click on the edit button, Nate.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So
I lied.
So
this
I wasn't involved in this one.
Why
This is all Fate.
templates can be dangerous and bad. That's a lot of BB code.
Unspeakable. No, we're not trying to torture the viewers. If we were torturing the viewers, we'd show them one of Fate's posts.
So I posted a link to one of my post templates that has kind of everything set out as a like actual example.
Okay. So this is actually really cool, and I like to do this as well with my templates. Is Ruben has added a straight cut and paste, just copy this, and then he's put in very specifically, put your sheet link here, put your character name here. This is an example. These are your spells. Like he's very clearly marked where things need to go. Like this is where your portrait goes. So this is a well done template in that it tells you where to do things. If you were to just take this raw post and try and parse through this, I completely agree. This is a nightmare, and I do not recommend it. I only recommend doing it if you have a very clearly marked do this here
And
template.
to me, this is the maximum of how complicated it should be.
The challenge,
Depending on system.
right?
5e is fairly crunchy,
Mm-hmm.
System,
but yeah, depending on system.
system regardless. The challenge with a post template, especially the more complicated it gets, is there are certain tags that Rodrigo and the team have developed that are less forgiving to errors.
Yep.
You're doing this manually. All it takes is a missing close bracket, or to swap two tags so that they're not nested one inside the other, but instead they're crossed up at the beginning or the end, and it will completely blow up the entire layout of the page as it's represented.
So
I don't think we have any ongoing examples of that, but it's very easy to just completely lose control of the thread.
Ruben, you first.
All right. So I point out, once you've done it the first time in a post, quote your own post, delete the quote tags, then everything's fine, and just write your new post.
But don't make a mistake. I've had to fix enough threads that have had mistakes because someone accidentally closed out the close tag of a particular, say, table. That's the worst
Right.
ones. Tables are awful.
Right. That's fair.
I will say.
I also like to err on the side of I don't think my posters are idiots.
That's true. I do want to point out that what Eric's getting at here is not only does it break the formatting of the post, it breaks the formatting of the website. Like, if you go to that web page, web page is broken until you fix the tags. So,
and often
that's what he's talking about there.
The link to get to that post is also broken and not available. And so the only way to get there is with some help from the moderation team.
That's true. Like,
Whisper,
there's stuff that even I can't fix.
Whisper spends hours tracking down and fixing these. He is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't execute his efforts like that, because he'd much rather be posting in my game where he's delinquent.
Now, I do want to point...
Wow, just dropping him like that.
Gotta get him up before you put him down.
Okay.
I don't think that's how that works.
I do also want to point out that what we were looking at there is a character sheet template. It's not strict. That's not exactly what we're talking about, but a character sheet template can be very complicated if it's not done in such a way that it's easy to read or it's already filled out. However, with an actual post template, we're talking like in-character post, like this is what my character does. Those generally tend to be much simpler. And I'm going to pull up an example here.
They should be. And if they aren't, you should wonder why they're not. Yeah, I don't need to see your stat block in every post.
Disagree.
Don't.
I disagree.
Don't.
Well,
no.
Spoiler tag your stat block.
Exactly.
If you're going to include your stat block, use spoiler tags.
So
open
I'm
bracket,
gonna
SB equals SB close bracket open bracket slash SB close bracket.
So I'm going to pull up too hard in his BB code.
I'm going to pull up a example here that this is the one I like to use, and it's very straightforward. Like there's not a lot of weird tags going on here. Basically, you have your character image, which I realize I'm not using the image 2 tag, which I totally should be. And then if you look at what it actually looks like, it's very nice and clean. You've got the character image, you've got the stat block, you've got the out of character stuff, and then inside the lines you've got like the descriptive text, speech, and thoughts. And this is more what we're talking about when it comes to post templates, because they're very, in general, they're very simple and they look very nice. So like this one's nice and organized. It's got the character image on the left. It's got an area for the text and the image. This is one of the things we were actually going to talk about, is this image, the way the formatting is done, it doesn't interfere with the layout of the text usually. So
Usually.
See, that actually.
Says
How'd
that here.
Yep.
Good things happen.
Hello. See, I find that actually incredibly off-putting.
My wife is awesome.
Oh, that's the one you look for awesome? I thought you were going to go for that one for awesome.
There were multiple.
oh, I guess I should put you on the stream here.
I'm eating
I
well
mean-
tonight.
Eric, we knew Merlana was awesome.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. But I
I
just
mean,
have to. Yeah,
given
give
the choice between the two of you, we'd take her hands down.
Yeah, pretty much. Me too.
So, yeah, Nate, I find yours, and that just goes to show, like, a lot of these are very personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the one I share, the one I really like in my 5e games,
Whatever's easy.
to me, that's the post that when I'm writing up my GM posts and when I'm rolling attacks and stuff like that, I can very quickly look at that character's last post, see what I need to hit, how many hit points they have left, and everything important. That is my main goal in these post bits. I want to see who's posting, which is what the portrait is for, their name, and then the little tiny bits of like pertinent stuff. And it also contains stuff that's useful to the character, because in 5e hit points and like spell slots change so frequently, it's way easier to change it in this post bit than it is to go to the character sheet and change that and then reference back to that. This lets you track the things that change frequently.
Yes, and as long as it doesn't take up my entire screen for each character, I'm cool with that.
Well, and that's why I use a float right command.
Mm-hmm. I'm using float left for my image in mine, so yeah. That
Yeah,
one.
I really went back and forth on float right and float left. Ultimately, if you're going to use a post format, really put a lot of thought into it. It's obvious that the reason Nate and I like these so much is we put a lot of thought into them and they help us with the game.
Yep.
This is not a thing you do just because, oh, I think it looks cool. This is a thing you do because this is useful.
The reason... Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, or there are cases where you have a system that does not have a Mythweaver sheet. And this happens especially with the more
Recent.
recently, especially because we have several smaller systems that have been up and coming on the site. There aren't sheets. Your only real recourse typically has been to do a post character template.
Yeah.
And I mean, even so, we've got examples. There's a Stars Without Numbers sheet on Mythweavers. There's not a revised edition sheet on Mythweavers.
Mm-hmm.
So it happened.
So, a lot of us who play Fate, because I coded the Fate sheet back when Fate was just Spirit of the Century, and it hasn't been updated since.
I did a revision of it. It's not up to... It needs a couple tweaks, but it's better, I hope.
Well, mine wasn't great, so I fail to see how you could have made it worse. But I think that's the difference. So, like post template goes in every post. A post sheet doesn't. A post sheet sits in your character thread.
Now, I will say the reason I like having a post template is because I'm a creature of habit and I don't memorize every character in every single one of my games. So having the stat block on hand when I am in the process of making a post is extremely helpful when I need to make sure that either A, I'm not doing something that will just immediately get blown out of the water by one of these characters, or I just need to very quickly reference and be like, okay, is this a feasible, like if it's a skill check, is this a feasible DC for the skill check based on the characters, and I need to very quickly reference their skills or something. And I like it to be in the same spot for every post, so I know where it's at.
I'm exactly there too, except for me, when I'm writing posts, I will write it in preview, and I like to be able to see the pertinent information of all my players without having to jump to different windows.
Mm-hmm.
And having the stat blocks there. And I use a separate stat block post I like my players to use, specifically for the stat block command. And we do have short codes for stat blocks.
With compatible sheets.
Yes.
I thought
that is a very important note. Some of your smaller systems, that stat block code isn't going to work. There's no support.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put code into the stat block section, that will still post, right?
If there is a stat block section, yes.
Okay. Because I don't have them use the actual sheet stat blocks that are auto-generated.
Okay. Yes, if a sheet has a stat block section, yes. And I will say, I don't know of a sheet, even for the tiniest kind of small community system in existence, that doesn't have that stat block box.
Yeah, I think that's standard to the template.
That's pretty standard.
So I'm going to be honest, I've never used our stat block auto-generate. I've never been happy with the ones we kick out.
Depending on the system, it's okay. But that's about it.
4E was the one that did it all right.
So,
all right.
All of you who are sitting out there listening to the four of us banter here and thinking, oh God, Mythweaver sheets are bad and not getting any better. Rodrigo and David and Colin and myself and a couple others are working right now on
improvements
to make it easier for us to build better, more consistent sheets for you. All of what you see right now is hand-built HTML templates, which for those of us who are extreme code monkeys, we worked really hard on those.
Yes, we did.
And it's really hard to make changes to them. And there's no mechanism for standardization whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So it was really up to each individual developer's personal taste, skill, and effort level to see what you get out of it.
I taught myself to code for those.
Yeah, you guys got my hat coding on like Fate and Savage Worlds and Cortex and... No, it wasn't even Cortex at the time, it was Serenity.
I'd like to toss out, so Eric's simplifying a little bit. It's HTML, CSS, and if you want to get fancy with AutoCalc, JavaScript.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The sheets are a nightmare for the non-coders, which I'm not a programmer. I have zero desire to do such. I do the community side of things. I can understand most of what I read. I have zero desire to learn to do it. So the stuff Eric mentioned that's being worked on is going to change things drastically. We just can't talk about how drastically and fancy things and stuff yet because secret projects.
Bottom line, a lot of us put a lot of work into these, and they work. A lot of them work very well.
Yes.
And we do recognize that there's plenty of things that we can do better, and we're actively working to do that.
Yes.
Right.
All right, I'm going to rope everybody back in. Let's get back to post templates.
Okay.
Tangents.
So we've talked about some of the benefits of post templates. So Eric, I know you're not a fan of them, and Colin, I know you really don't care one way or the other.
Pretty things. I play a lot of small systems, so for me, post templates are what are normal.
All right. So what are some of the
Eric involved in all those games?
So what are some of the negatives of using post templates?
We talked about mobile a little bit, but here I'll talk about it a little more. When you start heavily formatting things, Mythweavers is not designed as a mobile-friendly site. Most of its layout is still at least a decade old at this point, and it's designed around people looking at it on at least a laptop screen where you've got plenty of space.
Also being worked on.
Also being worked on. But what we've got right now is a situation where people are viewing a desktop site on a lot of mobile devices. There's not a lot of screen space. Things that we take for granted on a desktop or a laptop, like mouse over, are not really well supported in the mobile environment. Yeah, okay, you can put your finger on it and you can touch it and pop it open. But how do you close it? Well, that doesn't work so well. You got to go like touch on some other pop-up element to open that instead, so that the one that you just touched is not in your way. It's not mobile friendly, so try and avoid the less mobile friendly features in your templates. The OOC tag, avoid.
Spoiler tabs work well.
Spoilers work much better.
Yes, spoilers are excellent for that sort of thing.
Right. Dice tags are better than roll tags for the same reason.
Oh, I much prefer dice tags.
Right.
Roll tags.
And so when you do dice tags, then put them in a spoiler block at the end of your post in your post template. And okay, now I'm starting to feel better about post templates. My main beef with post templates, I'm nothing against the visual people. Wow, I'm getting delivery here. This is great. Better have.
Hi, Merlana.
The ability to do anything afforded by a relatively complex BB code programming language should not be taken as license to do anything. Do things simple like Ruben and Nate have showed you, and it will work well, and everyone will say, gosh, this looks really nice, we should copy it. Yeah. When you make this thing that is practically a living entity of itself, and you say that's my post template, I'm reaching for the ipecac.
Your template should never take more letters than the post.
Yes.
That's a good metric there. I like that.
And I would say my 5e post template is probably definitely on the edge of complex. It shouldn't get more complex than what I have.
Right. We talked about crossing over tags because each post is self-contained, but together they're amalgamated into one HTML page that is your entire web experience as you're looking at it. An error in a post template might not break the one post by itself, but combined with the next post underneath it might cause them to collectively break. So there is a level of care that's needed. I would suggest if you're going to use a post template, that it should be the GM saying, I want this post template, please use it, rather than each person trying to bring their own post template to the table. That gives a level of consistency, that gives a level of ease of comprehension that makes it a lot easier for the user to parse.
In my games, you use my post template.
Yes. Yes, you use it or you are not in the game.
Yeah, use it or you don't play. I will also say a good thing to do with your post templates, if you can make it to where the part where you actually post is its own line separated by nothing else, that's really nice, because then when you quote the post, or actually I hit edit on my own post, copy and paste, and then do a new post. That way I don't have to delete the post tag or the quote tag. Make it as easy as very much possible.
Right.
For the players to use it.
It's tempting to ignore white space and to say, I don't want to put any in because I'm worried about it mucking with my layout. HTML couldn't give a care about white space. Add extra white space. It makes it
Eric,
easier for
good
the
job.
to read.
Ruben, poor control.
The computers don't care.
Wait, he has to cut that?
No, he doesn't have to cut that. Sorry I interrupted, Eric. Just Nathan's face during that.
I know, I saw it too, and I'm like, oh, come on. I've been very good.
All right. Do we have any last... Oh, go ahead. Or not?
No, I was going to say Eric's right. White space doesn't matter. Make it very easy to see what you have to delete and write over. In fact, I'm going to edit this myself right now.
There needs to be no JS minify applied to your post.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any last minute thoughts about post templates or images in posts before we move on?
Bottom line, if you want to go super simple, 80 pixel by 80 pixel character portrait followed by a bold name after it. Post underneath.
Yep.
It doesn't have to get more complex than that. We use that for years.
Use simple.
You want to get super fancy? Put a float right around it.
Use simple post templates, and I promise I won't hate it. You make it complicated, and I'll find ways to pick other characters for my games.
Hey, Nate, do we want to post our sheet templates too?
I don't have any sheet templates, but I
Okay,
see
so
you've got one in here.
Yeah, I've got a sheet template I would just like to share. Oh, thank you.
Yep. I'm going to pull it up on screen real quick so we can look at it.
So, and you get to see my beautiful hand-drawn art.
Oh boy.
So this is an example of just what you can do with like the really advanced formatting. This is a 5e sheet, just because our 5e sheet we have on the site is great. I use it. This is a fancier one, and it's just all done with tables and field sets and some hand-created images.
I really like this, and I might use it for my next 5e game.
Yeah. So the original formatting for this, I adapted from the user Watford.
B. Watford, yes.
Watford.
Yep.
Who has a really awesome game ad out there right now that I didn't select as the game of the episode simply because I think he's a 4-time winner at this point and has pretty much figured out what we as a collective team like as our rubric for good
Watford,
game.
you've been cut out of Weaving Myths Game of the Weeks.
Yeah.
You've been put to the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Yeah. And I found this just ends up being a really nice sort of template for 5e games. But you notice in the post below it is the stat block I use for 5e, which is way more condensed.
Okay.
It is easy to make your stat block extremely complicated with a lot of details that you're not going to use more than once a chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Pick the details that matter to you and to the GM.
Okay. So we've been going for just over an hour. I would like to take a 5-minute break, please.
Yeah.
Go for it, Nathan.
Just walk away and leave the mic live. We promise
Yep.
nothing bad will happen.
Oh, boy.
Oh, I'm already gone.
I'm going to mute mine, and y'all have fun. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Ow.
Ruben, you walked off the screen, but
I
your
swear,
mic is
if y'all
still
do
live.
something I'm going to have to edit out, I will find you.
I'm still here. So, now that there's no adult supervision, or adult supervision can only hear me, what should we talk about, folks? Arcticus, I'm not telling you about those secrets. Hell, one of those secrets, Nathan doesn't even know about. Or Eric. Well, Nathan knows that there is a secret because I've been torturing Nathan with it for a couple months now. Couple months? Amy, you've seen the torture. It's been a couple months I've been tormenting Nathan with that, right?
No, I know I'm not live because the lights on.
He says live.
I know. I meant to. Okay. That's better.
Yeah, a couple months, Amy says. Yes, very few people know about the project. And those that know about the project, aside from me, don't talk about knowing about the project.
Project.
Unspeakable, I don't know. You're gonna have to harass the Whitefire to see if his character is broken.
God, I hate to say this, but there's a way to up the text size on this.
Get better glasses, Rubes. Or
This
contacts. It would be interesting to see you with contacts.
I actually can't do contacts.
Hmm?
Contacts can't correct for my astigmatism.
It's that severe?
Yeah.
Oof. I've got a minor stigmatism in my left eye, and fortunately the toric lenses can handle the minor side.
I'm probably 3 years from bifocals and about 5 from prism.
Well, you're still ahead of Dave.
Yeah. Let me tell you, man. Use the scope with glasses is a. No,
Ooh,
so
nice
funny.
save. Nice save.
Yeah.
Well, scopes have that nice little focus adjust on the back of them.
Yeah. Well, and I found there's a couple I've actually found that have a really nice, very soft kind of silicone like lip to them. And I've actually found those are a lot more kind of forgiving.
Hmm.
It's actually one of the reasons I really love these frames is they'll actually fit against the scope nice. Something about the curve on the lenses.
Yeah, I could see that.
That and they're really nice, super light, like titanium. Like you can flex these things to hell and back.
I know you vultures, I'm not telling the secret. Best you're gonna get is that there's a group called Skunkworks involved. It's all secret squirrel level, y'all aren't cleared to know. Ruben
man.
doesn't know either, so Ruben can't tell you.
Nope, I cannot.
Although Ruben will know before the rest of you.
Oh man, we did some fishing last week.
Oh, really?
Oh man, I pulled in a 16-pound salmon.
Nice. We've got, on my drive home, I pass a couple smaller lakes, and there have been guys out there ice fishing constantly.
Oh God, I love
Even when it's above the freezing point, which kind of makes me scratch my head, because we haven't been super, super cold recently.
How long ago since it raised above freezing?
It bounces. It's Michigan, man. Our temperatures
Oh, it's
with Lake Michigan right there, our weathermen and weatherwomen just kind of guess, and they're less accurate than the average weather person is.
Yep. Oh man, most fun I had was last year because Jen's family has a cabin up in the UP, like right on Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin, which is like right on the border with Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
We did pike fishing.
Ooh,
Took our father-in-law pike fishing.
nice.
That that was just a ton of fun. Like I pulled in like 4 or 5 in like an hour and a half. The guide we got was really good.
Nice.
Yeah, I slipped that guy an extra 20. He was a great guide.
Hey, Chibi Amy is right. If you volunteer for stuff enough, you get to join the Mythweaver's Navy. Because that's a thing, it exists. The Mythweaver's Navy is effectively it's quasi site support staff.
They've occasionally gotten blue names out of the blue, just for fun, you know.
Yeah.
Just to make Amy panic a little bit.
You know what? It's actually been more than long enough. I don't even remember how I got called up to be a blue name.
There was
I
an open,
volunteered.
there
I
was
was
an open
stupid
call
as
for
hell.
staff for me.
Yeah, when Eric and I joined, it was a call for staff, and
I wondered, did I just volunteer?
you had to have. You had to have.
Plugsy was pretty persuasive.
Oh, yeah.
Rodrigo was worse. Rodrigo still is worse.
Dude's scary.
I know, he made me an admin, and I still don't know how he talked me into it.
I don't know. He talked to you. That was a dumb move, man.
I don't know. So Eric and I got on staff at the same time. We were part of the same recruitment.
Mm-hmm.
I was recruited, so this was back in the days. The shout box, which was our
Oh, the
way
shout
back
box.
in the day. You know we're old when Ruben starts laughing about it too. Back when Mythweavers
Oh, God
had a
damn you.
built-in live chat.
Oh, and that used to clear, what, every hour?
Oh my god, it had to clear every hour because so this was 2006 when running an on-site live chat was just intensive as hell from the hardware requirements. So I mean, yeah, but no, I mean, Eric talked a lot in that, I believe.
I didn't. See, I think that's
You didn't.
why-
You were involved on the site in general. I talked a lot in it.
that is, I think, why you ended up with the role you had and why I was on
No. I wound up with the role I had because I had started to talk with David and I'd started talking with Rodrigo outside of the shout box.
Yeah.
And David, curse his black soul, still has stuff like the AOL Instant Messenger chat logs.
Oh, God.
He still has all that stuff from 2007, 2008 from him and me talking.
Can I just say, I am just so happy we're done with Skype.
Oh my god.
Yes.
We nearly lost the staff chat because Skype is so bad.
Oh, no, we did lose the staff chat. We absolutely lost the staff chat. By the end there...
What staff chat?
All right.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I didn't use that.
Mm-hmm.
So timeline. We had a live chat on the site. It was resource intensive as hell. We had to eventually kill it. All the staff moved to Skype. Skype
Is Skype.
evolved into what Skype now is.
Yep.
We experimented with Google Plus.
Oh god. They're finally killing that, by the way. I think the deadline passed.
Yeah,
And
it's
you know
dead.
what? I'm super sad about that because I think I was one of the 10 people that still use that.
Don't worry,
Oh,
all the personal
bloody
information.
hell, we're
Actually,
old.
you know what was terrible about that? Is G Plus was where all of us RPG creators actually congregated. It's killed a ton of the game creator community. And now we've all had to move to other weird stuff.
Discord.
Yeah, I mean, to be
We
fair,
had IRC for a while.
We did-
We had
well-
IRC for quite a while.
I'd like to point out, though, the IRC was never officially sanctioned.
Although I hung out in the IRC in kind of an unofficial manner.
Yeah, I hung out in the IRC a good deal, too. So, the IRC was never sanctioned. It was never run by staff members. And Ruben, did you ever have any power on the IRC?
I
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Okay,
We did.
I never did because, well,
I think at one point
I
I
didn't
ended up
want
as
it.
owner.
Yes, when the previous owner vanished. That's the
I
downside
ended
about having non-staff members. Vanishing tends to happen.
Yeah, when that happened, I actually ended up as the owner for a while.
Okay.
oh hey, we're doing
so-
a podcast. We have a script we have to follow.
Yep. Okay. So,
Great tempo.
I was gonna say something.
Resume recording.
Oh, I record all of that.
Ah, You can just cut it out later.
No, he doesn't cut out the video.
Okay.
That's gonna be part of it.
Well,
That's
actually, I
bonus
left
content.
I left the audio recording going as well.
Scary, isn't it? That's a level of faith that I don't have.
I mean, seriously, the amount of alcohol you guys consume, you're gonna leave the video running?
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
sure do.
Oh, we haven't had David on video.
Yeah.
We should do that again.
No, after David, I'm the problematic one, and if I can rein it in, we're usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, David still holds the record.
David doesn't do it with any clothes, so. Oh wait, sorry.
David. Well, the Patreons are still waiting for the blooper reel,
Oh God.
including especially that bit,
Oh,
because there's anticipation over how many times
Actually,
intoxicated David dropped the F-bomb in that episode.
Actually, you know what you should do is cut out everything but the F-balls.
It's a drinking game.
it's like a scene from South Park.
Oh, it was fantastic. And Dave, we're still trying to talk him back on because he just drank too much that night.
All right, let me read this. Okay, so
I'll
before
write the script.
so before we move on, I just want to let everyone know that we are officially renaming the game of the week to the highlighted game. The name Game of the Week implies that Weaving Myths is a weekly thing, which it's not. So
You'd like it to be, but
yeah, I would
life.
like it to be, but yeah, schedules are tough. So changing it to the highlighted game will hopefully improve clarity and make more sense overall, which means I actually need to remake the little badge icon I made. Dang it. Okay.
Oh, it's Pathfinder though.
Nathan making jobs for himself.
Okay.
He does it so well.
Okay, so this episode's highlighted game is Hot Springs Island, being run by Dark Hue. Hot Springs Island is a self-described island-based survival hex crawl featuring the Pathfinder system and using Gestalt rules. The party is in the employ of a Rakshasa who seems to find the secrets of the island and why he can't... This sentence also makes no sense.
Why he can't see or set foot on it.
Why he can't cut for
Who
content.
seems to find the secrets of the island and why he can't see or set foot on it. Alright, I'm just going to let that sentence be and not think about it too hard. The game takes place almost entirely on the island and features exploration, mystery, and combat. The setting's original creator, Jacob Hurst, refers to Hot Springs as a sandbox of black powder. Dark Hue notes that the island is currently in a very delicate status quo. Introducing your characters will start creating explosions with the various people, environments, and treasures found on the island. Dark Hue is looking for 1 or 2 more players to expand what started as a solo game, and applications close on March 6th. So, not a lot of time there. Make sure you get your applications in swiftly. So now...
for the obtuseness of that sentence.
That's okay, no worries.
Oh
so now
God,
we're gonna...
you wrote that? Shame
Yeah,
on
pretty
you,
much.
Eric.
And no one edited me. So the three of you can all stuff it.
Sorry, I could edit or drink a beer, and I chose to drink a beer.
You're here.
Okay,
Drink a
fine.
beer and then edit.
You win.
Okay, the
Carry on,
free-for-all
Nate.
segment of the show is back again. In this segment of the show, we're going to open the floor to questions and answers, but we're also going to allow...
Nathan, you need to show the game ad.
I do, thank you.
I linked it in the Twitch chat, but
Uh,
powerful
I
display.
see no link for that. I only mention it, Nathan, because Chibi Amy mentioned it.
Okay, so this is the ad for Hot Springs Island, which, by the way, is on point. Like, this ad is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this one. This is my first time seeing it, so you guys are seeing the live reaction. I really like this ad a lot, actually.
I could do without the indents.
I don't know. I kind of like them.
Oh, that could be a great segment. Nathan's live reactions to things.
No.
No,
No.
You could have fun with that.
no, I'm sorry. My designer brain says indents bad.
I mean, okay,
I'm-
I can see the argument for indenting every line, like not doing that, but I kind of like it.
It gives it a certain style.
Yep.
And to be fair, like I lay out RPG books professionally, so I'm super picky. It's still a really nice ad.
Yeah,
Yes.
this ad
It's a
is
hex,
beautiful.
It's a hex crawl.
Yeah, of course it is.
It automatically has my love because it's a hex scroll.
Mhm. Man, I still have my copy of X2 Isle of Dread, the basic Dungeons and Dragons module, within almost arm's reach.
Wait,
So
Comic
We get it,
Sans
Eric.
where?
You're old.
I
Wait,
love.
Where Comic Sans? Comic Sans bad, must kill it with fire.
Agree.
I don't see Comic Sans.
Hate Comic Sans.
No, that was Tiffany Corda saying should have been in Comic Sans just to rile everyone up.
Oh,
Yep.
Well, it clearly
Tiffany
riled me.
Corda is subtly evil.
Can I ban her?
No, we like Tiffany. Tiffany, you're safe. I've got your back.
Nope. Nope. Where's the ban button?
don't do
Arcticus,
it.
we're not
Don't
using
do it.
Impact
Hammer's coming.
either.
Don't
Oh,
ban her.
Nathan, by the way, Amy really likes the idea of a Nathan Reacts segment. It's going on the list.
No, if you want to have the really fun.
Whose
bonus
ideal-
content-
Whose idea was it to put her in charge of our topics?
You.
Damn it.
Completely your idea.
Nope. I'll
Alright.
give you guys a better topic. Feed me 4 beers and have me react.
Oh no.
Four is
We
an
don't
oddly
need that
specific
again,
number.
Rubes.
All right. The free for all segment of the show is back again. In this segment of the show, we're going to open the floor to questions and answers, but we're also going to allow myself and my fellow casters to talk about anything and we'd like. As always, this is going to be pretty unstructured. See all of this. But it gives us the freedom to talk about other things and still answer questions as they come in. So, before we get started, we have the mandatory question, what's making us happy this week? I really want to know what everybody's laughing at, though.
The part where you said that now we're unstructured.
Oh, for me, it was just he was quickly reading on from, no, I can do reactions. And then just, nope, we're not going to do that. Hey, Nate. What's
Hey,
making
Ruben.
you happy this week?
You know, I actually just got back from a mini vacation. I requested a couple days off to go to a concert in Baltimore, and I got back yesterday evening. So,
Please tell me the concert was soul coughing.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, man. I'm just disappointed in all of you.
You drove past me and you didn't stop for tea and crumpets.
Ooh.
I didn't realize that was an open invitation.
It's always an open
So,
invitation. my friend.
There's a great band called Soul Coughing. One of the songs is Going Down to Baltimore. That's not the title of the song, but that's how it opens.
Gotcha.
think
So
that was
Articus
one of
wants
the-
to know whose concert I saw. In Flames, Smash Into Pieces, and Within Temptation.
I think I've heard
Oh, that cannot be edited out of the video, but maybe a pixelated thingy can be applied.
Summarizes
we're not-
my feelings. Right
We're not
there.
monetized on YouTube, so it's fine.
What genre are those?
So In Flames is like screamo metal. Smash Into Pieces. Okay, I'm gonna use this as an example of the genre they are. Not that they're like this band. I put them in the same category of rock as like the first couple albums that Nickelback put out.
Oh.
So, okay, like I said,
Okay.
it's the genre, not that they're like that band. They're actually better than Nickelback.
You use that name though.
I know.
Smooth
And-
rock,
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
alternative rock.
yeah, basically.
unobtrusive. Everyone can get behind this.
Yeah.
Mall
Doesn't
rock.
really have a flavor.
And
Ball rock.
Within Temptation is like epic operatic metal.
Like I knew
Within Temptation is glorious goth rock.
Okay.
Within Temptation is fantastic. I encourage you to check it out.
Yep. But anyway, the concert
Which is
was
why the middle finger was involved.
yeah, the concert was amazing. All three bands killed it. I'm not a big fan of In Flames, but Smash Into Pieces and Within Temptation were both awesome. So
Nice.
Arcticus, it is your kind of music. You'd enjoy it.
Did the missus go with you?
no, actually, a buddy of mine invited me, and we road tripped up there. It was only like a 3.5-4 hour drive. So
Yeah, that's not much.
Wow, you talk about drive times like Michiganders do.
Man.
I mean,
To be frankly, like Oregoners do.
a long
I-
drive time is like a long drive time to me is like 10 hours.
I
Oh,
just
sweet.
did the math on
He's in
Nate's
range from
drive
where I'm
time to
at, then.
Baltimore.
Nathan, we'll get you all to visit. We'll go up to the UP. That's only 9 hours.
Now, actually, I would like to also add, while I'm at it, that on our way back, we stopped at a brewery called Adroit Theory, and
Ooh.
they
Hold
are,
it up higher, closer to the camera.
um,
There we go.
but basically they were playing metal music while we were there, and I got this. This is a Russian Imperial Stout, and
I hate you.
It's
Actually, I
it's-
can't hate you too much. I just had one of those.
It's called Dia de los Muertos, and let me read you
Oh.
this ingredient list.
Oh god.
It's got flavors of peanut butter, Oreo, hazelnut, macadamia, toasted coconut, and bourbon honey.
You had me until Oregon.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's delicious. I don't even like beer, and this is delicious.
So, briefly on the beer thing, Nathan, you'll appreciate this. Similar level of what the hell. Brewery we went to this past Sunday had a beer called Reading Rainbow.
Butterfly in the sky.
Interesting.
Skittles based.
Ooh.
Skittles based beer.
This
And if you
this
showed your Kalamazoo library card, you got $1.
nice.
Holy
This
crap, Nathan!
what?
This brewery is ranked incredibly high and Untapped.
Adroit
Mhm.
Theory?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Adroit Theory is really awesome.
Yeah, they have a beer that tastes literally, I'm not even kidding, literally exactly like Hawaiian Punch fruit punch.
Is there any way you could mail any of this to me?
I'm sure I could. Okay.
USPS prohibits alcohol movement.
Oh, that's right. I've
Slight-
tried to mail stuff.
Slight problem with that. They are about a 3-hour drive from me, so it would have to be a pretty substantial order for me to drive up there and get a bunch.
And have a way to move it.
Yeah, that too.
He's driving to Baltimore from where he lives, which I'm not going to state online. We're not doxing.
Well, I know
Thank
it,
you.
but that's not the, well,
Yeah,
I guess
It's
how
it's
would
on
have gone.
on the way enough.
Yeah, so it was like an hour and a half from Baltimore to where Adroit Theory is. And
Holy
then-
cow,
That's about-
Nathan! I'm not measuring your drive speed. Wow.
I drive the speed limit, thank you.
An hour and a half from there to Baltimore is about right.
Yeah, it's just getting from
Well,
there
it's
to
there
back.
to where we live.
Yeah, so from there to home was 3 hours on the dot. So
That I can almost believe.
Okay, carry on.
So anyway, that's what's making me happy this week. I got a delicious beer and came back from vacation.
Why
So
didn't he invite us to the brewery? I don't care about him stopping here.
For
Why weren't we
cheaper.
having?
Merlanda, stop twisting the knife. He already feels bad.
Well,
all
the
right,
good-
next time I come up that direction, we're going to Adroit Theory.
We'll meet you there.
I
Sounds
was
good.
15 minutes away before I came home. But I had kids.
Mail!
All right. So we know what's making Nate happy. What is making Ruben happy?
Alright. So I got a couple things. First of all, last weekend was our semi-annual gamer weekend, which is when my buddies and I, we all gather and we do basically a convention for just the bunch of us. We gather in my buddy's basement, and for 3 days we game. So like Friday night we did Magic at my place, and we played Magic the Gathering all night long. and it was great. And then Saturday, I ran a 16-hour dungeon.
Huh.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Well, it was not always a dungeon. There was a bunch of stuff, but if you check my Instagram, which I am linking,
Already linked.
yep, that's some of the images of the maps I did. So my buddy Paul has all the Dwarven Forge, and I mean all the Dwarven Forge.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it was a 16-hour gauntlet of D&D, and it was just a ton of fun. They went up against a shipwreck golem with weresharks, and then like caverns, and I did an entire maze. It was like a 3-foot by 4-foot maze. They had to navigate in real combat time. It was uncovered. It was covered up until they like revealed passages. They had a 10-round limit because poison gas was pumping into the maze. And then finally, it ended up in this huge city that we built up with a keep in the middle. Yeah, this is definitely the gaming before you had kids. And some of our players do have kids. This is the one weekend where people get babysitters, and we nerd out. So yeah, that was a ton of fun. It was great to run. I had 8 players.
Wow.
It's a good
That's
group.
right. Yeah. I ran a 5e game with 8 players. It was epic. And also, I finally got to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, dude, it's fantastic, right?
It's amazing, and I'm
still
so
haven't seen
sad
it.
I did not see it in the theater.
Oh, I got to see it in theater because the local comic book store had a thing, and my buddy was going, so I went.
Oh,
Jem just got to see it last night, I think. And I mean,
yeah.
she came away going, "Oh my god, that was incredible." Right?
As a designer, I just have that much more respect for that movie. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. Spider-Man was one of my favorite superheroes. It's best movie of 2018.
Yeah, I'd agree with that actually. It was the best review I think I saw on it is it was an example of how to do a comic book style movie.
Yep.
Not necessarily like I mean, you've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's its own thing, but this was like how to do a comic book movie animated with the right feel. It was brilliant. Everything from the animation to the story, it was brilliantly done.
Yeah, amazing movie. I loved Black Panther. Also one of my
Black
favorite.
Panther was fantastic.
It was better than Black Panther.
Yeah.
And I loved Spider-Man: Homecoming. Fantastic movie. It was better than that.
I didn't think Homecoming
honestly,
was out
I think
yet.
Into the
Oh wait, no,
Spider-Verse.
Homecoming. Sorry, never mind. Shut up.
Into the Spider-Verse, I think, beats all other movies I saw this year.
Yeah.
Not just Marvel, just in general. And there were some good movies this year.
I mean, I don't remember the last time I watched a movie and I smiled for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, smiled so hard my face hurt when the movie was done.
Good
I just-
movie.
Anyway,
Laughed a lot.
if you guys like look at my Instagram, there's pictures of a lot of my D&D stuff. There's also pictures of soccer and
And your furnace, apparently.
oh,
Yes.
that's my dad's shower room. I thought it was interesting.
Fair
All
enough.
right.
It's
Yeah,
like, if
this
that's,
was a
if
mark
that's,
of how good Spider-Verse was. They made Spider-Ham work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't like Spider-Ham.
They made it work and you actually enjoyed the character's presence.
And he worked with Spider Noir.
And that.
This needs to be more than 8.5%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Colin, what's making you happy this week?
I just finished my second week of my new day job and it's fantastic.
Oh,
Yay.
good.
And there are a few There are a few regulars in the Twitch chat right now that have been privy to the Discord job rants in general for the past 2 years that understand how weird it is for me to say I adore where I'm working.
He goes out to lunch with his coworkers.
That's weird.
Happily.
Like, hey guys, I'm going to lunch. Not like, oh god, I need to walk now.
And that I'm allowed to listen to music.
Oh, that's so good.
And engineering, which is really, I'm just the third engineer for the mechanical side. Engineering went out to get drinks last Friday.
That's a good department.
And my boss picked up the tab.
That's better department.
That's a good department.
It's really weird for me because I spent the first 2 years of engineering and design pretty much getting smacked down for having a what if we did it differently thought. So yeah, being somewhere where that's encouraged and listened to and I'm actually learning, that's a wonderful job to have. I'm thrilled.
Yep.
I'm so happy for you, man.
Excellent.
Nice.
I'm not sure what point Amy's what refers to, but
Probably was the picking up the tab.
Yeah, man, that really does make me happy. I'm so happy you found a good place.
And I will say, Arcticus, your bosses don't do that because you're still in the army, dude.
No.
They're not allowed to do that. That would be inappropriate.
My bosses didn't do that in the Navy. Eric was one of the bosses, kind of, so he's one of those jerks.
One of. When you're in an organization where
Still
your
is.
officer
Eric was an officer.
among a bunch of junior officers,
Wait, did you guys serve together?
That's true.
and
Alright, so
the bosses.
This is an important distinction. Eric was a junior officer, which really meant the enlisted had to wipe his butt for him and tie his shoes, because otherwise he'd trip and fall.
Oh, so he wasn't an enlisted officer.
Our command had this many enlisted folks. We had to wipe our own butts, Colin, and salute with the other hand.
I knew that was coming.
All right, Eric, what's making you happy this week?
Oh man, we have been working on a series of house projects for
October.
6 months now. We started with getting ready to go do some window installations in our living and dining room, like cutting new holes in the wall window installations. They're finally going to do it next week. No, not next week. Week after next. 2 weeks from now. But
Yay!
the floors are all done in those rooms. We got nice new hardwood. It looks fantastic. And my grandfather gave me his baby grand piano, and it is showing up on Tuesday. So I'll have a place to go put that and keys to actually play. I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
Oh, and we replaced our cooktop in the kitchen. The one that was trying to burn people's hands off or just not light in general. That's gone, and the new one's in place, and so I feel much safer.
Excellent.
Gas or electric?
Gas.
Ooh,
I
nice.
prefer gas infinitely.
The previous one had a burner that was recalcitrant, which was unfortunately the main burner, and then one that was over exuberant, where if you tried to turn it on, it would literally whoosh, whoosh, and try and light your fingers on fire.
No, not your
Sounds
fingers.
exciting.
It was depilatory.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't want any of the finger hair on the backs of your fingers,
I have hobbit hands, so it did a good job keeping the hair under control.
Nice.
The
Just no
the
fun.
greatest regret of our place is I can't get gas. We have to do electric.
Ugh, I'm so sorry.
means you
Well,
get to start boiling water in the morning, and by the time you get ready.
Well, no,
Electric's
the
not that
so the
bad.
one upside
I
is
feel better,
when our original stove died, I was able to get an induction hob.
Nice.
Ooh. And I will say, electric isn't terrible. We've got a very nice glass top that does a fantastic job.
Yeah,
Mhm.
ours is glass top. It has one induction.
Well, and I mean, I agree on the assessment over gas, though, because I mean, if we had the choice, there would be a gas stove here, but what Gem wants is expensive.
Well, yeah, we can't get gas. I mean, condo living, you take what you
Yeah.
can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got really lucky. Our neighbors have gas, and they're the only other place on the entire block that has it. And rather than have to run a brand new line from the main,
You just ran
the
from
gas
them.
company was able to tee off of theirs and run the 6 feet into our lot.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep.
Colin will approve.
Yeah. Well, the other outside is when we shopped for our new stove last. Oh, old. Is that Dirty Bastard or Old Dirty Bastard?
It's Dirty Bastard.
So Fowler's
No,
actually finally came
Eric,
to Portland.
You just need to come visit. We
Yeah.
can go to Founders. I mean, that's
I know.
point blank.
I know.
Stop and
Yes.
Although,
I got to get
if
out
you
here
visit-
sometime.
if you visit, there's better than Founders.
Actually, Colin, off mic, I want to find out where in Michigan you are, because if you're close enough to Wisconsin,
Kalamazoo. I've got no issues saying that. That's
No,
regularly come up in text
You
chat
already-
because we've got breweries between Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids, Michigan. There's
Mhm.
got over 50 breweries.
Yeah, I lived for years in Grand Rapids. Not old enough to drink, but I knew they were there.
Colin, Articus has a question for you. What is your dog's name and what kind of dog is it?
Okay, so dog is Nels. He's right there. He is half German Shepherd, half Italian Mastiff. We picked him up when Jem and I were stationed in Sicily. He is, as of this past December, he is 11 years old.
No.
Good looking
110 pounds, 11 years old. Still no hip dysplasia, which is really weird to me.
really?
None.
That's good.
Great for a dog his age.
And his size. That's what shocks me. Well, and especially you mix in the Shepherd. And, you know, you almost expect hip dysplasia.
Well, actually, you know what?
Yeah.
It's the mix that saved him.
Yep.
Well, Cane Corso. I mean, Italian Mastiff. It's... But, so, Italy doesn't believe in spaying or neutering the wild dog population. Or wild cat. His mom walked onto the base housing and was playing with some kids, and the parents adopted the dog, and 2 weeks later, puppies.
Whoops.
And that's... I adopted Nels at a year old because the previous owners did not know how to handle large dogs. He was running rampant.
Man, Colin, you know what I just realized? When I'm visiting the in-laws, it's only a 3.5 hour drive to you.
That's not bad.
Well, clearly...
That's why
You
Collins
should
Center is located.
Hey, are
It's
we doing
the-
that
the
potluck? Is that what that
Potluck.
means?
We're not doing a Mythweaver's potluck.
Yes,
Y'all
we
can go
are.
to hell. Amy, I blame you for this.
We're doing a
It's
Mythweaver's
Colin's
potluck.
house.
And we know it's in Kalamazoo. How big a place can that really be?
Yeah, I mean, we can probably drive up and down all the streets in Kalamazoo till we find you. It's not that big.
A, B, C, D, E, H, I got a gal. She lives in Kalamazoo.
I will say my favorite thing is everyone from out of state going, that can't be a real place. And, oh, it's real.
Yeah,
It exists. I promise you.
there's some.
It's
great-
actually, it's a small city. It really is. I think that's the more shocking thing is everyone goes, oh, so it's like a tiny little one stoplight. No, it's a small city.
Yeah, it's pretty
So,
modest. Man.
Ooh.
The better halves
Bless you,
are
my
so
wife.
awesome that it's just we can't even talk about how awesome they are. That was a beer delivery. You didn't even
Ooh,
call
nice.
for that beer delivery. It just happened.
Oh,
Oh,
Dogfish. That's out here.
Dogfish Head. Nice.
Dogfish, that's our local
Ish.
Yeah, local-ish. Well, there's a bit.
Adroit's closer.
They have a couple. Well, if we wanted to go to the brewery, but they have a couple of that are local to us.
No, I'm trying to lure all you guys down to my place because the amount of breweries we have.
You're so far away.
That's a,
You're on
I
the
will
West
pick you up
Coast.
on that at some point because Oregon's on my list. I got 5 states left.
Well, you know you got a tour guide. Oh, you got a place to stay if you need it.
I mean, I
Alright.
just need to make the trip out there, Ruben, to go hunting family.
Hey, we're in open questions, and I actually have a question for everybody else that's not Nate. Because Nate's already answered it.
Okay.
What's the last good concert you went to?
Oh.
If you had another good concert you went to, Nate.
yeah. So the last good concert I went to was the Northern Virginia Metropolitan Jazz Orchestra, featuring Eddie Daniels, who is a world-renowned Grammy-nominated clarinetist, jazz clarinetist.
Oh, he's good.
There's not many of those.
That was an impressive concert.
Nice.
I just realized I did avoid answering an Arcticus question earlier.
When is the potluck?
Arcticus? No, not that part. There is no potluck. Go to hell, all of you.
We will believe there is no potluck when there is no skunkworks.
There is no skunkworks. Prove it exists. Show me
Got the
who's in it.
folder.
Show me who's in it. There's no folder.
Oh, don't tempt him.
He can't prove whether or not it exists, Merlana. If it did exist, he's not involved in it.
I know that.
All right, what was the
For all-
Arcticus question?
For all Nathan knows, I've been just torturing him for shits and giggles for 2 months.
Oh, you mean you haven't?
No, the Arcticus question about the beard. Beard oil is important when you grow a long beard.
Yes.
When you get out of the army, hit me up. We can discuss this. But Sam's Natural, great website. That's the URL too. They make a wonderful soap, actually shampoo soap, oatmeal body scrub soap, and then they do some really good beard oils.
Yeah, you want like a good beard soap, but you also want a good beard oil.
You need a beard oil unless you want to look like the, especially because I've got semi-curly hair on the facial hair at least. Good beard oil is important. I also just picked up some Honest Amish extra strength beard balm. I was using a different company. I used Honest Amish in the past, was using a different company, but Liberty, it looks like, is no longer on Amazon, which I think doesn't bode well for a company that did a lot of sales on Amazon.
That reminds me, Colin, I got a bottle I gotta mail you. I've had it
I'm down with
stashed
that.
away. There's a local company we have that does beard oils. They use local timber, like shavings, as the scent.
Ooh. Yeah, I just picked up, the two I picked up are vetiver and lumberjack, which is cedar and pine blended.
Yeah, mine's Douglas fir.
See what I do is I take my razor and I go and I go
That's-
And
Nate,
all
I go-
three of the
every
hair-
other month? Every other month you do that?
Actually, it's every couple of days.
Oh my god, every couple. I hate you. Oh, hey Ruben,
mine will
look,
grow
I need to
just
open.
fine.
I need to
It
open
needs
that
to
beer
work.
again.
Problem.
Where's that bottle opener, buddy?
Oh my god.
Nathan
Oh.
says, "Oh, so much."
All right. All right. I'm cutting us off there. We're done with the free for all. We're moving on.
My understanding is July 17th is the date.
All right, July
That is
17th,
not a day.
Mythweaver's potluck.
Unspeakable. I know where you live. I will.
All right.
Don't make me hunt you down.
Okay, a quick update on the status of the first Mythweaver story crafting contest. We received 10 entries, each a short story focused on the enigmatic holiday called the Day of Bones. Our crack team of judges, which that's a bit bold, are pouring over. That's also a bit bold. Each submission looking for the best of the breed. Breed. That's an interesting choice of words. And we expect to announce the winners by March 16th. The grand prize is a hardcover copy of the World of Farland RPG book, a signed copy of Night and Silence by, I'm going to butcher this name, Shannon McGuire, and a signed copy of Briefcases by Jim Butcher. Runners-up will be getting a $25 gift card to Drive-Thru RPG. Personally, if it was me, I'd want the gift card, but that's just me. So, I've read all of the stories, and none of them were bad. So, none of them were bad. But there were definitely standout candidates, and I had at least an okay time reading all of them.
I was impressed by the diversity that really no one tackled the story in even remotely the exact same way.
There was a pretty wide net.
I still need to finish reading them. I've been avoiding reading the other judges' notes because I don't want to taint my perception.
There were standard fantasy. There were modern entries. There were one that I can recall fairly readily was a kind of Central/South American kind of.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And by the way, I put that deadline out there so that you can't take forever.
Damn it. I mean, totally high priority, will not be delaying at all.
So Nathan has read them all. I've read them all. Dalphinus, who is a published author and our professional mentor for this contest, has read them all and provided scathing reviews. In fact, her review document says so.
She didn't like any of them, for the record.
She doesn't like the competition.
Yeah.
No, she's just a honest and fair judge.
That is true. and she, in fact, offered, and I'll put this off the record because I'm not going to put her up to it, but she said that she would actually provide professional feedback on them to any of the authors who wanted it.
Oh, no, you can put her out there for that because she put that in a Mythweaver's thread.
Okay, so that's
Nice.
actually out there then.
Or was that a Mythweaver's thread or the Discord?
It's in the
She said
Discord.
it in a
Discord.
public forum. Throw her out there.
Yeah, okay. So
She'll
she's
forgive me
offered to
eventually.
provide professional feedback, which, if you are an aspiring writer, is invaluable stuff. She's out there. She's published. She's made bestseller lists on Amazon for some of her ebooks. She's good. Take her advice.
She's also very good people. You should definitely take her advice.
Yes. Well, mostly. She likes to do evil things like take a selfie with Basil Bottle Top and then mail that photo to certain people that couldn't make it to Gen Con.
Nope, she's good people. She is my
That you
friend.
couldn't make
She's good
Gen
people.
Con is your problem and not hers.
She's the one that chose to take that picture with Basil and send it to me to make sure I knew what I was meant.
Ah, yeah,
Well,
Gen Con.
I like it.
Sickness, crowds.
She also slipped me that book we helped with Eric
Okay.
on the sly.
Mm-hmm. We got to mention, I consider that to be good enough.
I didn't know she was sending it till it showed up at the side business address.
All right, I'd like to take just a moment to remind everyone that this episode of Weaving Myths is made possible by our Patreon. For those of you that don't know, Patreon is a method for content creators to gain income through the support of those who consume the content. Our Patreon offers a multitude of ways to support the show, and you'll get awesome rewards. Reward update still pending. Still pending.
Translation, Nathan is slow.
Yep, so you'll get awesome rewards for signing up under any of the tiers. Contributions start at as little as $1 per month, so it doesn't take much at all to show your support. You can find our Patreon at patreon.com/mythweavers. All contributions to the Patreon go to paying for online hosting of the show and supporting Mythweavers, the site we're honored to be a part of. The story crafting contest, the gift cards specifically, were provided by the generous support of our patrons. So that contest, the prizes wouldn't be nearly as good if our patrons were not nearly so generous as they are, and we're incredibly thankful for them. One last thing I should note, Weaving Myths is, always has been, and will always continue to be free, and signing up for the Patreon is never required. Full episodes are always uploaded to SoundCloud and or YouTube within 2 days of the episode being recorded, and all normal episodes will always be available for download or streaming, free of charge. And now for our shout-outs. We've got John D, Amanda C, Michael B, #BlameChimmy, Claire F, Amy G, and Christopher M. So thank you everyone so much for joining us today. It's been a blast, and we appreciate all of the comments and questions from the text chat as always. I'm Nathan. I've been joined by the magnificent Ruben.
Yo!
Eric.
So long, and thanks for all the games.
And Colin.
Fun as always, folks.
Thanks for listening, and keep on weaving those myths.